Hi there. Welcome to my video. A video about what? My video. Come on. Let's try that again, shall we? Hi there. Welcome to the topic of today. Today we are speaking about violence. More importantly, the violence that we don't see. Quick fire questions. Why am I doing this video? Because I'm trying to get an A in my English literature degree. We have been assigned to publish something, whether it's a blog or a video, internet polls, blah 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 blah, about the topic of violence. What about violence? Anything about violence. And so I have decided to investigate the violence that we see or experience or may even be perpetrating on a day-to-day basis that we don't necessarily notice. So my first part I will show you is the internet polls that I put up. I asked you, and by you I mean my friends and family because nobody else is gonna see this ever. I asked my Insta followers to vote on questions about violence in music, and these are the results. So the first question I asked you guys was, does violent music influence behaviour in our society? And that's me dancing. Okay. I could easily edit this out, but I'm not going to because that's funny.
I would also just like to point out that I'm very aware that I've misspelt behaviour in this, but we're gonna breeze past that.
Now this question got a response from 85 people. Thank you to all of those who voted and to all of you who didn't. I have nothing to say. As you can see here, 59% said that yes, music does contribute to violence in society, and 41% of you said no. So there is, not quite half and half, but it's nearly there. So let's explore further into the mindsets about violence in society through music. I also feel that it is important to note my opinions about the situation as well. So as I go and I analyse the data I've collected, I'll also be giving my opinions on this. So had I come across this internet poll, I would have voted yes. I do believe that violence contributes to I do believe that music contributes to violence in society, and not necessarily in the cliche way that people are simplifying it to. I don't believe that somebody listens to violent music and is like, I'm gonna go commit a crime. Like, we all know that that's not what happens. But as I previously explained, I'm looking at the latent content and the ways in which people may be receiving or subliminally understanding or glorifying violence, in fact, because nowadays what people are growing up with is the idea that violence will provide you with wealth or money or success or popularity, and so my answer would have been yes for that. I also strongly believe that sometimes people will be receiving things or information and not truly be understanding what it is they're internalising or how they're internalising. So to further investigate this idea of people internalising violence, I felt the need to ask more questions to see if their answers matched or in fact contradicted to see if their answers contradicted or matched their original answer, which was either yes or no, violence does or doesn't contribute to violence in society. So my next question was a question that is quite passionate to me because, once again, I have a very distinct and strict answer about this, which I will give to you in a minute. But my next question was, who is allowed to say the N-word? And I don't want people asking me to elaborate on which word I mean, because you all know what word I mean, and no, I will not say it. So this question had multiple choices that I had numbered up, and that's my phone. I'm just gonna hold it, okay? I'm just gonna hold it. Option number 1 was only black people. Option number 2 was everyone can say it, apparently. Option number 3 was anybody with black heritage, which is like people like myself who are mixed with black and another ethnic background. Option number 4 was any ethnic minority, so anybody who feels like they have also received derogatory terms maybe, or who are marginalised by society, because the N-word, whether they all like it or not, can be used as a derogatory term. I'm not going to say it is always, but it can be. And option number 5 was nobody, so let's analyse those results. My opinion explicitly clear, because that's what this video is. This is a welcome to the mind of Lammy, analysing through the lens of Lammy, interpretation through the lens and the ideologies of, you guessed it, Lammy. My answer would have been number 5, nobody. I believe nobody is entitled to say it. I mean everyone has freedom of speech. Who can say it if we're speaking about physical ability? Everybody can, right? I don't feel comfortable when I'm around people using that word. I refute or I resent the idea that people are reclaiming it for their own, because when people say it means stuff like, oh, it means brother, oh, we use it to say friend, like when you obviously greet people using that word, but you also use it when you want to fight someone, when you say you're going to catch that, or yeah, you better watch out, you insert word that you know I'm not going to say. And just saying it and then demanding that, let's say, white people can't say it, is only putting more power in their hands, because they physically can. Morally they shouldn't, but they can. It doesn't empower, as much as you may claim that it empowers black people because they're reclaiming the word. It also empowers people who want to marginalise you, who want to step on you, because you're giving them the ability to upset you, because they will say it. Not all of them, I'm not just saying that there's a certain demographic of people who are racist. I'm saying that racist people will then use it against you. Another reason that this really bugs me is because I feel like people then believe that they are entitled to police your level of blackness. As a mixed race woman, I'm very in touch with both of my cultures, and I love the fact that I am half black, and I love my roots, which is Nigerian. My first name, for example, is a completely Nigerian name, and I love Nigeria. And so for somebody to tell me that I'm not black enough, which honestly hasn't happened yet, most people say, oh, you can, but then, for example, if I hypothetically had children with somebody who was not black, who is anybody else to then tell my child that they're not black enough to say the word, which most likely, from what I've seen in this society, would happen. My heritage and my history of my family and my bloodline is not for anyone else to distinguish, and to make it purely about skin colour just doesn't seem okay to me. So that is my answer, but let's see what you, the people of my Instagram. Also, disclaimer, don't at me for my opinion, because I'm entitled to it. I'm not here trying to police you. I'm not walking around slapping you for saying the word. I'm sharing how I feel about it. So, I've got my little educational notepad here. The results were quite varied, and I think were quite telling. The percentages I'm going to give are rough percentages, because the answers were a bit complicated, where some people just used the reference of the numbers I allocated the answers. Others gave more detailed answers and opinions about how they feel on the matter, so as well as a number, so my percentages are approximations. Approximately 18% of the people, of the 38 people who answered, said that only black people are permitted to, or can morally or should be allowed to use that word. One controversial being said that everyone should be able to use it, which I'll say I agree. And had it have been somebody else who answered, I might have understood where they're coming from, but without disclosing who this person was, it just is quite contrary anyway. Interestingly, somebody also said everybody or nobody, if we're speaking about fairness. Now, this was one of my favourite answers, because I feel like in this society, too many people are trying to think about what's best for them as opposed to what works for an entire society. How do we actually progress? with the highest level of votes, approximately 36 to 37% of people who answered said anybody with black heritage. So myself, for example. Absolutely nobody said anyone of ethnic minority, which I think is interesting, because I do know some people of differing ethnic minorities who may disagree with that, but just may have not seen the poll. And 23% of people said nobody. 18%, and I think this is the one that will go along well with my point, or with the way in which I'm going to link this to violence soon, but 18% of people felt that the matter was too difficult to explain with just a multiple choice answer and chose to write their answers, which I will give some of my favourites or some of the ones that I found interesting in a minute. The way that I will be linking this to violence is because if we're going to pretend we don't know the origins of the word, whether you dispute or not that it is still a violent term, the origins of this word are very violent, and the actions that would often follow or that would be received by the people being called this word would be very violent. And so I, in some way, am analysing or just trying to understand the discourse that this word has taken socially, and whether or not it is still considered violent. Can a word even be violent, or is violence singularly a term used to describe physical experiences? Which leads me to my next point. The next question or set of questions I decided to ask was, do people feel, or have people ever been made to feel uncomfortable when listening to certain songs or song lyrics? I for one know I have, and I'll share my personal experiences being at a club or a party and having crowds of people scream the word previously mentioned. I feel very uncomfortable. I feel like I see violence happening, you know, in mosh pits and in attitudes. I feel like it definitely does create a violent atmosphere, and it doesn't mean that then someone's about to get killed or someone's about to get punched, but it's about the ways in which we are almost desensitized to certain types of behaviors because it's becoming so normalized to listen to this. I know times I've been to places, and it's not just that word in particular, it's listening to songs where then in the background a bunch of gunshots are being played, and we're hearing it so much, and I myself am guilty of this, that I've heard it so much that I begin to proceed dancing or dance harder when that happens, to do signs and gestures that indicate I'm partaking in such activities, and only when I step back, and only kind of in the making of this video as well, am I understanding how unhealthy that is, maybe to myself as a 21-year-old who is very aware of the society around them. It doesn't affect me, but there are people much younger than me, much more influential, much more naive, listening to these types of music. When I asked this question on Instagram, the results not only shocked me, but they intrigued me. A lot of people, as I presumed or predicted, answered yes, and gave the titles of the songs, which I considered playing in this video, but one, this video is already becoming way too long, and two, that doesn't seem all the way appropriate, because then I myself am then just perpetrating these songs. Not perpetrating, that's the wrong word. I'm contributing to the problem if I'm putting this material on my video, so I won't be doing that, but I was also interested to find that it wasn't just what I presumed people would put based on my experiences or my understanding of violence, but it was also people referencing the misuse or misinterpretation of their religion in songs, things to do with derogatory or misogynistic values that weren't talking about anything particularly aggressive, but felt uncomfortable in its participation to ideologies like patriarchy and even rape culture. And it really broadened my horizons or my understanding of this concept that I'm speaking about of latent violence. I think what I've learned from the making of this video, I hope potentially anybody watching this may learn, is to just, I'm not saying stop listening to the music you enjoy, I'm not saying change your speaking patterns, but think, or take a second sometimes to think more about the bigger picture in your other's behaviour. It's very easy to watch something and to be so desensitized to it that we interpret it as something not that deep, is a phrase we're using really often, or there are bigger things contributing to this issue. I don't refute any of that, but think about, if we're thinking about it as a society, and if we're thinking about one another as members of the community or of the society, think about the ways in which we may be bringing violence or tolerating violence or even encouraging violence in ways that we previously may have not realised.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I'd say if you like, subscribe, but please don't, because the likelihood of me continuing this is very small. For now, enjoy my nostrils and my curly hair. Goodbye. Also, I apologise for the footage that this voiceover is being recorded over, but it was the only last piece of footage I had left, and I really didn't have time to record more, so enjoy me being vain while I put this out there. This video is becoming too long, and so I apologise for not being able to analyse and discuss all the data I collected. If this video was of any interest to you, let me know, and perhaps I will do a second version of this video, or might consider speaking about other topics if this video goes well. Thank you again, and goodbye.